the man who knocked out Gregor Gillespie. No one saw this coming. No one thought he would do this, but he did it. Motown phenom Kevin Lee joins us right now via the magic of Skype. There he is with the customary victory coffee afterwards. How are you?
Is it my time now, Ariel?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You get to meet everybody?
I got to meet the whole crew.
Pictures?
Yes.
You got your thing in?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Hey, those are cool AirPods. What are those?
All right, what you want to talk about?
What are those things in your ears? I've never seen those before.
The pros. They're the pros, the new ones. I had to get it because I got a little bit of cauliflower ears. So
Yeah.
now they got the little tips on the end of them. I'm stepping my game up, Ariel. This is the new world, baby. Welcome to it.
Well, yes. Congratulations. What a performance. I mean, be honest with me. Of all the scenarios, was that one of them that you thought was a possibility to knock him out the way in which you did? Was that something you guys talked about, envisioned before the fight?
Yeah. I mean, I was just gonna let it come to me. I wasn't gonna look for it, but I feel like I had a lot more power than I've shown yet at 155. So I knew coming back down. I was like, if I hit him right, I'm gonna knock his ass into the bleachers. I'm gonna try and make a statement. That was number one, was to make a statement. I was taking him on in New York. He was from New York, and he was a big challenge, so I had to do my thing.
Last time you had a knockout like that, like not a doctor stoppage or anything like that, was 2016. It has been a while since you finished someone via, KO or TKO. Do you feel like this is the beginning of something new? Is this part of the resurrection, if you will, of Kevin Lee?
No, I mean, it is a new chapter in my career, but that's just for me coming back down to 55 and just reminding everybody what I can do in this weight class and who the future really is down here. But to me, like, I mean, I knock guys out all the time. You know what I mean? Like, and not to say like training is the same as fighting, but it's not nothing new to me. So I just haven't shown, and I've been saying that for years. I haven't shown half of what I can really do. I got a lot of fights in the UFC, but none of them have really shown the real me yet. And as I get older, that's just what you're gonna see going forward.
How was the weight cut?
It was smooth. I mean, it wasn't easy by any means, and it's never gonna be, but it was okay. Like it was just the same as any other weight cut to 55. And I feel like part of cutting that weight and part of going through that shit and having to kind of dig deep like that it's what makes the fight a little bit more special. It's actually, as crazy as it sounds, it's something that I really, really hated, but it was something that I kind of missed a little bit. So I wasn't like really stressing throughout this one, to be honest with you.
Was there any part of you during the cut that was like, man, it was way easier doing it at 170. Why am I doing this to myself?
A little bit, but like I said, I kind of embraced it. I was like, it's just gonna suck. It's gonna hurt, but okay, I gotta let it hurt and just let it be what it's gonna be. Yeah, is it easier going up to 55? I mean, to 170? Yeah, it's easier, but is it better? Not necessarily. I feel like 55 is really my home. It's where I want to win that title first. And cutting that weight, that's just part of the game. And I feel like it put me in my zone. Even for the weight cut, I was in my zone. So somebody said to me, maybe like the Tuesday while I was checking in, and they was talking about how they wanted to fight and all that. And then somebody kind of chimed up out the back, this is New York, so they do that. And he was like, man, you couldn't even cut the weight. So when he said that, I was like, he got a good point. Like, half these guys, they can't even cut the weight, like, let alone get in there and fight somebody like me. So why am I bitching about the weight cut so much? Like, let me just embrace this shit.
And even with the face-offs, they were a little, like the first one at media day, it was a little funky with him staring at you or you staring at him long, and then he stared at you, and then it seemed like at the weigh-ins you were trying to get in his line of sight. Did any of that annoy you, the fact that he wasn't looking at you?
No, it just told me what it was. You know what I mean? I think he was really confident going into this fight. And I could kind of see that when we first arrived. I saw him for a little bit, and he wouldn't look me in my eyes. After we made a first initial eye contact, he wouldn't look at me no more. He didn't do it during any of the face off because he just knew. Like, I knew, he knew. Like, you can say a lot, you can feel as confident as you want before the fight. Yeah, you could be undefeated and nobody figured you out and all that bullshit. But once it come down to it and you look a man into his eyes, then he gonna know. So nah, it didn't bother me at all. If anything, I'm starting to be a vet of this game. I'm starting to really understand how this shit works.
The fight lasted less than 3 minutes, and so I'm wondering how much of that do we chalk up to the new training camp, TriStar, the people that you worked with there, or was that going to happen regardless of where you trained for this fight?
No, it was definitely part of the training camp. I even got to give that to it too. Um, if this would have been the old me, if this would have been the me that fought back in May, it would have been a much harder fight. Like I could just say that right out the gate. Like, yeah, the kick was cool, but that ain't really what made that fight happen so quickly. It was the wrestling. It was me staying in position. It was me even because look at my eye right now. I mean, it's black. You know what I mean? Like he had fast hands. He hit me, and I feel like the old me when he hit me, I would have wanted to really try and get it back and start brawling with him, and then he would have ducked underneath me or whatever. But this one, I heard Faraz's voice in me the whole time was just to stay focused, stay calm, stay relaxed, and I feel like that's what really wanted me to fight. It wasn't even necessarily one individual technique. It was everything put together, and for that, it took the whole training camp.
You know, I went back and looked at that video that you posted from the hospital after the loss to RDA. You know, you were really down. You posted something on IG. This guy right here. Would this guy have believed would you have believed it would have turned around this quickly, that you'd come back in your next fight and knock someone out, a previously undefeated fighter? Like, what was that guy thinking at that time?
Uh, you know, I'm not gonna say I wouldn't believe it if you told me that because it's been a lot of crazy shit in my life that's been happening. I mean, would I believe that I was gonna do that in front of the president and make the president remember my name out of anybody else on the card? In front of in Madison Square Garden in this huge moment. Now that part I would have been like, okay, maybe you might be pulling my leg a little bit, but to actually come back and do what I did, no, there was no doubt in me. Like I knew when I made that video, I knew that I needed to make some changes in my training camp and in my life. And I kind of knew that before the fight, even. I just tried to gloss over it. I just tried to go harder. I just was like, okay, let me just push 10 times harder and try and wear RDA out. And in the process, I ended up wearing myself out. So when I made that video, that was really just to kind of reaffirm what I already knew that I had to do. And I feel like throughout the summer, I've been making them that progress. So the results just speaking for themselves. And now it's just about building on top of that. It's still some things that I can change. There's still some things that I can do better. And it's just making sure I do them things. In the next one, and that if that one gonna shock you, the next one really gonna shock you. Hit me up in 6 months from now
Oh,
and see where I'm at, and then we'll talk again and say, did you ever see this shit coming? And
okay.
I'm gonna be like, I don't know about that one.
Well, honestly, you look at a guy like Masvidal, right? 2 years ago today, he loses to Wonder Boy, takes the year off, and now look at the year that he had. Like, you can find inspiration from that. It doesn't take a lot to turn things. I mean, obviously you have to win the fights and all that, and that takes a lot.
Yeah,
But it takes just a couple fights to turn everything around, right?
yeah. The thing is that this thing takes years. You know what I mean? People only see me, even the people now. I'm getting recognized a whole lot more, even just from Saturday now. And people see me and they automatically think you just got there. You know what I'm saying? You just jumped up. Like no, this takes years and years and years and years of building. And so when it do come, it's not really a surprise to the person that's in it because I've been doing this shit. You know what I mean? You just waking up to it. But we've been in this. Like Masvidal been fighting. You know what I'm saying? So to us it's just keep going, keep doing what you're doing. And as long as you getting better, I'm the only one that I gotta prove something to is myself. So as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, then that type of shit just gonna happen.
So Islam Makhachev, that's who you want next. Did you see he responded to you on Twitter?
No, I didn't see. I don't fuck around with Twitter, Ariel. Come
I
on. I
well,
don't even tweet you. Come
he
on.
said, I know you don't. But he said
Or I don't even tweet. Even Masvidal, he called me a social media influencer, and I'm like, how the fuck? I ain't even on social media. Like he the one that's all of a sudden he's starting to dress up and throwing a little. If anything, he seemed like he running 15 models and shit. So anyway,
he
go ahead with the question. Sorry,
he wrote,
what do you say?
"Let's go Moscow, Vegas, London, doesn't matter." And then he tagged Dan Hooker and Paul Felder. Sit on the bench and watch it, girls. He said, "Congrats, Motown Phenom. You back on the winning track. Let's do it in January."
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool if they do that. I'd definitely be interested in it. He should have got on board when he could, and we would have fought this week coming up. That would have been a little funner for me. But if he won January, sure, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's so many good fights here at 155 that I'm not even about to pick and choose like that. I, it's a lot of good fights out here. If you asking me, like my ideal fight would be somebody like Connor, but I know he ain't gonna take it. He gonna try and pull the Islam route too. He gonna try and say, oh, I need some time, blah blah blah. They ain't gonna want to do it. Like they watching me fight, and none of these motherfuckers put my name in their mouth. That's just hands down. Islam only responded because I've been barking at him for this long. But none of these dudes, they all been watching me, and nobody else will. You see it. I mean, you follow the sport more closely than anybody else. None of these guys. I've been at this shit for years. Nobody will put my name in their mouth for a reason.
What is it about this guy that why have you been talking about him for so long? And maybe now you feel like the train has left the station, but a lot of people aren't calling out Islam Makhachev. Why does he interest you?
Yeah, it's always the guys that the real people know that's on the come up that kind of interests me. It's not necessarily the person with the biggest name value and all that, because he don't got a big name or he ain't got much behind him, but he can fight. So I know that when we show up on fight night, he gonna give me a good fight. The Gregor fight interests me because I knew what a challenge he was. Like even people, they're gonna look at that fight, they're gonna say, "Oh, he only lasted 3 minutes," but they don't understand. Like it take a lot more to go into it. If I would have let him wrap his hands around me or even get close to me, that would have been a really really tough fight. And he could have been one of the guys to be in top 5 like right now. And Islam, it could be that next guy. Like I see his skills and I see what he's doing. And even though not a lot of people might not know him, they might not get that to him, but I can see he can really fight, so I'd be interested in it. But to me, it's got to be a big fight. It's got to be in Moscow. It's got to be in Russia for me. Even fighting him in Vegas, it's like it'd be cool, but it depend on other factors too. You know what I'm saying? Like this is professional fighting at the end of the day. This is prize fighting. So the biggest one is what I'm most interested in. The biggest one and the biggest challenge at the same time. And the thing is, at 155, there's so many options that he got to get in line if he wanted.
I love it, man. People can say what they want about you, but no one can ever say that you shy away from the big ones, that you don't call out the biggest dog in the yard. Excuse me. That you've been calling out Khabib like we've talked about in the past, long before anyone wanted to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov. So it was so great to see you back on track, my man. After the year that you had, coming back, new weight class, knocking out a guy like that in the way in which you did, supremely impressive. So congratulations, Kevin.
And one more thing, nobody can ever say, like, I don't even really feel like I made it yet. I feel like people know my name. You know what I mean? People know who I am, but I don't feel like I made it yet. But once I do, nobody can ever say that they made me. Like, I made me. Like, you don't see me unless I'm fighting, unless it's a reason. You know what I'm saying? And it's always coming from me. Ain't nobody build me up. I ain't got all these guys, like, calling me out and putting my name out there. You only see me for me. And I ain't running no Twitch, and all that shit. Like, I ain't no YouTube. I ain't doing none of that. You see me for what I do. And when I really make it, then I'm going to be a self-made motherfucker. And I feel like I'm, like, one of the last in the game to do that.
Well done.
But
and you still have many years to go. Well done, my man. Congratulations. Enjoy the victory.
Thank you. I'm going to try and heal this up real quick. But
all right.
Appreciate you. I won't hold you too long. I ain't going to have you meet my team and all that. I run solo anyway. So I'm going to sit here and finish my breakfast. Enjoy
it. It is well-deserved. There he is, Kevin Lee, joining us. Hello, everyone. It's Ariel Helwani. I just came here to thank you for watching our ESPN YouTube channel. It's the best. You know what else is the best? The ESPN app. You can get highlights, analysis, all that stuff and more. And if you want premium content and live streaming sports, there's only one place for all of that. It's ESPN Plus.